someone to live there for a lifetime.
But that is still a reality.
Well, it is a reality because we did nothing
Yeah,
to make sure that it changed.
yeah, yeah.
And I think that's for me, the biggest heartache is that we put people in that type of housing and then just let.
Leave it
Okay.
and walk away.
You didn't do anything to work on helping them invest in getting out.
Do we know if there are folks not coming, Todd? Have you heard
Only
from people?
Jessica and Linda. I always have to remind myself. Yes. Hey, Jeanette.
Hello.
Hey,
There's food around the corner. in the
there's so
hallway.
much. I hope you want 3 sandwiches, because they're there.
Oh.
It looks like 3 sandwiches, but they're one
Oh, yeah.
sandwich.
This is cord, be careful. Okay.
That's a tight spot right
Trip
there.
hazard.
I got it.
Oh, I'm
Got it?
sorry. I can probably,
Okay, that's
if I
not
do like another half an hour. we
that's
can
not us,
record.
right?
Okay.
That's an alarm, isn't it?
It
No, I
is.
don't think
Oh.
that's us. I think we would hear it much louder.
Okay.
Thanks for thinking of that. It's probably our new office on fire.
How was the new office?
It's okay.
Yeah?
It's weird, you always move and you're,
Is it keeping people from finding you, or it's not that far?
No, it's not that far, and we have a sign on the other door. I'd say no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
it's been busy.
Yeah, all right, well, that's a pretty good sign that people can find you.
Yep. So,
All right, we can start in a couple minutes.
does anyone need parking? Jane?
I do.
Oh, there we go.
icy out there.
Yeah.
We finished before 8:30.
It's not even doing
This
anything.
should cover us.
Yeah, and the 250 was all
They'll
backed up.
give you
Oh,
something.
really?
Yeah. Thank you.
You said no?
No, I don't need one, thanks.
Do we have a quorum? Yeah, 4?
Sounds like we do.
We have 5?
Andy's,
Oh,
Yeah, Andy's over there. Oh, he was over there. I guess he's finished
he ate
eating.
a sandwich with that.
Yeah.
Because I might forget, I'm just gonna give you that backup one. If you don't need it, it just, it
Thank
doesn't
you.
matter. It only counts if you scan it, so. Andy, did you need one of these?
I still have one.
No.
No.
You do?
This needs to be a sticker.
Did you ride a bike in the cold rain?
No, I actually just found a parking spot
Oh,
here.
yeah, me too. Catherine's hardcore though, I've seen her ride.
Well, I would have biked, except I will probably need to go pick up my kid from a DHS thing this evening, so.
Oh, yeah, well, that's better to have a car than a
Yeah.
bike for that.
I think Captain, she rode last time we met, and it was nasty. It was a nice out. All right.
Ernest, do you think, you wanna find out if people want masks on or not, or
Yeah, it's,
keep in mind?
I don't know how you guys feel about masks on, off. I know it's easy to hear you talk if you have your mask off. So it's up to you, which one you would like to do. If you would like to take, we are pretty much spread out
Yeah.
in here in the space. So if you feel comfortable taking your mask off,
Either
you-
way.
you can.
I'm okay with other people, but I won't take mine off if people
Okay,
want us to keep them on, but
okay.
I'm okay taking them off.
Anybody else?
I won't take mine off.
You
Yeah,
won't?
I'd rather be
You rather be
keep ours on.
masked?
safe,
Yeah.
yeah.
You better be
We'll
masked?
support
Okay.
you.
All right, yeah, we'll support you.
If you don't mind, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
We'll support you, yeah. Okay,
Okay,
that's good.
no problem.
We are spread out though, so I don't,
Yeah.
you know.
Is that the countdown to be, let's begin?
I will put my information.
Did we lose?
Yeah.
But yeah, what happened to our screen?
I don't
I'm
know.
gonna mute the screen until somebody shows up, because otherwise we're just looking at ourselves.
Okay, do we have Lindell? Is anybody in?
There's no one in the Zoom right now.
All right, are we live?
We are.
All right, good evening, Charlottesville. Good evening, commissioners. Welcome to, this is December the 15th, and we are here at City Space, and it is 6:35 in the evening on this Thursday, this wet, cold Thursday. We're going to go ahead and do our roll call. Todd, would you take us through that, please?
Will do. Jessica is not here tonight. Ernest?
Here.
Jeanette?
Here.
Mary?
Here?
Wolfgang?
Here.
Catherine is not here. Andy?
Here.
Lindell was going to join us remotely because she is much further away, but I don't believe she's on. Is that correct? Not on. And that is it.
Is that one? All right, thank you, Todd. May we all recite our mission together. 1, 2, 3. Act as a strong advocate to justice and equal opportunity by providing citywide leadership and guidance in the area of civil rights. That sounded really good, y'all. Nice,
You
awesome.
counted us down, that helped.
And then no Zoom lag too.
Yeah. In fact, I want to like add lag to it just because that feels more normal.
Oh,
To like do
goodness.
it all for them. But it's nice.
Awesome. Next, we're moving on to matters of the public. Do we have anyone in with us? No one here? Okay. All right.
And Ernest, sorry to jump in. I think per the new regulations, I'm supposed to provide a phone number if somebody has trouble
Go right
trying
ahead.
to look at us. And so the phone number to call would be my phone, and that would be 434-970-3023, and we'll try to catch it if somebody's having trouble connecting. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Todd.
Mhm.
And we'll give you a few seconds if anyone joins or wants to make a phone call into the meeting tonight. All right. Moving on to minutes. Minutes from November the 3rd of 2022. Those minutes are from a virtual committee meeting minutes. Anybody have any questions about those minutes?
I do have a question, which is, I guess, I'm sorry I didn't look at them closely beforehand, but if we went to only one of the committees' meetings, do we vote? Like, I can't really say what happened. Usually, like, I would abstain if I didn't go to a meeting, but I went to one out of like several of the committee meetings. So do you have a recommendation for how to?
I think that's a great question. I think if other people who were at the other committees are here and you all collectively say, this looks like an accurate representation of all the meetings, then I think we could potentially vote as a whole. It's a good point. We sort of consolidated all of our minutes.
Yeah, which is efficient for lots of reasons, but,
Does
and
make it
fine
a-
if people go to all the meetings, but I didn't, so.
Yes.
Okay,
Are there representatives from every one of those meetings here tonight?
I was at the community engagement meeting.
I was at the housing meeting.
Mhm.
I wasn't at any of them.
So that's it. It's just those two.
Was those were the only two, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So Mary, do you have anything in that?
No, I would vote to approve.
Your vote to approve the minutes from that first meeting, which was housing?
I second.
Thank you. Do we do all in favor on this, or
We can do
a roll call,
we
sorry?
can do a quick roll call if, I mean, it's kind of a funny thing because we're asking everybody to vote on minutes that only apply to two people.
That's why I
Yeah.
asked, to make sure, how formal do we need to be on
I
that,
think we can
since,
we can just say, Mary made a motion, Jeanette seconded, and I would assume that both of you are yes
Abstain.
votes?
It was actually me and Jessica who
right,
were at that
right,
meeting,
it was
right?
her, yes, it was
So
Mary and
Jessica's
Jessica.
not here.
Oh, okay, so it's you and Jessica. Do you want to just table it till there's more
Yeah,
people?
I
We
think
can do
so.
that?
Okay,
Yeah, because Jessica's not here.
Yep. That's fine.
And that would be the same for the next one as well, with Janet, because Jessica's the only other person that was at the meeting
Okay,
with her. So, are those minutes accurate to
Yes,
it? Okay.
they looked good. Thank you.
So Janet said they were accurate, and we'll just table until we can get with Jessica
okay,
to make sure.
we can do that.
Should we get, okay? Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Awesome, okay. So we'll make sure. All right, also, we're gonna approve the minutes from November the 17th of 2022. And that's in the third attachment. I think we had a few more people that arrived at this one. So,
make a motion to approve those minutes.
thank you, Mary.
I second.
Janet, second.
Great.
When you're ready, we do the roll call.
Roll call vote. Ernest?
Approved, yes.
Jeanette?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes,
Sorry, I'm a little slow because I'm doing this on my computer here. And Wolfgang?
Yes.
And Andy?
Yes.
And that's everybody.
All right.
And so there's 5 of you, so it passes.
Thank you very much. Have we had anybody join yet? Nope, okay. Business matters, Chair update. Chair sends her regrets that she could not be here on tonight, but she also wanted to let us know that starting January of 2023, all Commissioner ad hoc committee meetings must be in person. So they're moving everything in 2023. If it's ad hoc, it needs to be in person. Now, we do still have the virtual, I think, what is it, one virtual or two in
So
the year?
I'll make a correction to that, but we'll talk about it. So you still have 2 meetings per year or 25% of total meetings. So that's
Okay.
separated between, and this is confusing, between regular meetings and committee meetings. So that means that if, say, we schedule one of each per month, 25% of that would be, do the math if I'm wrong here, 3 of each that could be held virtually.
Okay,
So, and I'll tell you more about that, but there's a few that we may have to do virtually anyway.
okay. All right, so just so that you know, when you guys are planning your ad hoc, or we're planning our ad hoc committee meeting, and I think the only ad hoc committee we have right now is going to be housing, correct? That's the focus that we talked about last meeting?
Was it also community engagement?
Community engagement and housing? Or just community engagement?
I mean, there's definitely a housing committee, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe both.
There's
Yeah,
also
further
currently a
notes.
nominating committee, but I believe after
Right,
this
right now,
evening,
but that,
that
you
will
know,
be
that's only
disbanded.
for,
that one particular action.
yes, yes. So I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I think,
Okay.
I think the effort was to aggregate all the housing efforts into just one committee instead of the 3 that we had.
Correct,
Okay.
yes. Yes, I just wanted to clarify, to make sure. Okay? That was the only update I had. Now moving on over to Todd. The staff report.
All right, I'll give a quick update on some things. So, first of all, we are in a new office, so if you'd like to swing by afterward, you're welcome to. We'll give you a tour. It's very close by. And I think I've already asked everybody if they need a parking pass, so scratch that from my list. In the data bit there, Lily's been hard at work updating the data to reflect all the navigation that the office is doing. So you'll notice in there, there's a little kind of yellow section, and we've added also kind of a percentage of the total incoming and outgoing contacts related to resource navigation. What we're trying to do is suss out how much work are we doing that's sort of outside of the scope of handling complaints of discrimination and the follow-up that's involved with those. So it's pretty substantial. Obviously, the data is not all in there yet, but by the end of the year, we should have a percentage of how much time we spend doing that. What we'll do there is then be able to kind of create a report for Ashley and the city manager to say, here's what we're noticing about this sort of secondary work that we're doing. Here's kind of the scope of services we're providing, and then they can think about that in terms of how they want to use city resources. So, so that's just one update to the report that I wanted to mention.
Excuse me, Todd, so what does navigating mean?
Yeah, it's a broad thing that kind of encompasses both guiding people to other resources that have nothing to do with a complaint of discrimination. It sometimes means helping people fill out, for example, housing applications, or connecting with another agency that they don't know how to connect with. It involves a lot of different things. Yeah, we kind of have this big sticky sheet in the office that we've been writing on for months to try to consolidate. What are we doing that's sort of additional? So,
Okay.
yeah, we'll have a little bit more accurate and complete report for you coming up when we have all the numbers done. But
Awesome.
thanks for asking. Yeah. Other things that are happening. So on the 19th, this coming Monday, council will make its new appointments to the commission. And we have 4 applicants, one of which is Jessica, so you know that. And then we have 3 new applicants whom I do not know the names or anything about. So we will learn who council selects to fill the 1 vacant seat that we have. Wolfgang and Mary, your applications were automatically sort of re-forwarded, let's say, so you don't have to reapply again. I think we talked about that the last meeting. I confirmed that today with the clerk's office. So
Is that on a different timeline?
it's on a slightly different timeline. I don't have that chart
Somehow I
open.
thought it was like February, is that?
It's something, you had like a different expiration
Okay.
date. In any
It's
case,
in the agenda minutes from last.
it is in there. I could open the
Last
chart if
month.
you really, if you want to know the
It's fine.
dates, but
No.
yeah, it was coming up, clerk's office noticed it, but they said it's recent enough that your current application just counts and you're in. So, there's that. There was a question last time about the legislative recommendations, where those went and what happened. So, if you look in the agenda packet from the December 5th council meeting, at the very bottom of the packet is all of council's legislative recommendations to TJPDC for this round of those. I didn't look closely at them. I found them. I was like, okay, now I know where they are. It's kind of lengthy, but that's where we can find them. What I plan to do is take a look a little bit closely to see where do the recommendations that the commission made emerge within that. But
So they're not in this packet?
they're not in this
Okay, yeah,
packet.
that's
They're
fine.
in council's agenda
Yeah,
packet.
okay.
And the minutes aren't posted yet, so I don't know if they made any changes during the
Okay.
meeting, but the minutes would reflect that, so.
When will those be available? Do you have any sense?
I don't know exactly,
Okay.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
I don't know
I'm-
what the turnaround for minutes are over there, but,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you. I'm sure I can find them. That's
yeah,
great.
it's not too hard to find.
Yeah.
If you go to, go to council's webpage.
Okay,
you
guess I
can-
would work with, I had.
And if you have any
Internet
trouble, I can
access.
send a link
Okay.
later.
Okay, no problem, thanks.
To get back to the question about in-person meetings, that's something we were just talking about. Council needs the space for their budget hearings, their public hearings on the budget. And they need it on the 2nd of February, which is one of our committee meetings. At the same time, kind of overlapping with our 6:30 time. They need it on March 16th, which is our regular meeting, and they need it on April the 6th, which is another time where we have committee meetings. I sent an email kind of to Ashley and Tina at the clerk's office, and I copied yours and
Yeah.
Jessica. This is pretty recently today, because I
Mhm.
just found all that today. What we may end up doing, we could use up some of those virtual meetings that we have available to us. That might be the simplest solution, rather than trying to find a new venue or a new time, those kinds of things. For March, this is just something to kind of put in your mind to think about. By that point, our new commissioners will have started. That would be their first meeting. We could do the retreat, the annual meeting at that point. Now that we have the ability to meet in person, we could think a little bit more about, do we want to meet here or do we want to meet somewhere else? When do we want to meet? So just putting that in your minds now. I'll have some more answers probably from Ashley and others to say what are our options, but the virtual option is still a possibility for all three of those. Maybe you don't want to do that for your retreat, but think about that. And then the other thing that happened, Victoria, you attended this. I did not, because I was actually ironically assisting someone who was at risk of being homeless that day. There's another summit around homelessness. I haven't gotten notes from that yet, but I'll ask for them. And I know that there was a request last time to re-forward all this stuff. Maybe you did that, Wolfgang. I can't remember. I can do it too, is to resend the agenda packet that had.
I think I sent it last.
I kind of
meeting.
remember it, when
Yeah.
I looked over, I was like, yeah, I think I saw you send that.
I can bump it again.
Yeah, you can bump it again, just to inform your
Yeah.
thinking on this as you go forward with the housing committee. And if I get notes from this most recent meeting, I'll send those along as well. Victoria, is it safe to say that the conclusions that they came to was, yes, we need more shelter, yes, we need more wraparound services, we haven't figured it out yet. So the work continues, or at least the need continues. I think that's about it. Does anybody have questions about anything I talked about or anything in the report?
I was sort of blown away by the numbers of contacts. I don't know why I
Mhm.
paid more attention to it this time reading, but I would not be able to do my job if there were 525, people in a month. I'm just wondering if you have like September, I noticed there was a lot more than there had been. Is there is there like some cycle? Like, is it when school starts, a lot of people come in, or is it, that was just random that it happened then?
It would be good to compare it to other years in terms of the ebb and flow month to month. I'm not sure there's anything in particular.
Yeah.
Victoria, can you comment on that?
I think the weather's turning.
It's always part of it.
I think it's part of it.
And sometimes I think it also ebbs and flows depending on who's contacting us and what the issue is. Sometimes those are a lot of repeat contacts by one person who has an ongoing thing. And so there may not be a real pattern to it other than it's an indication of some months, some people have lots of things going on. And that's pretty vague, but we can take a look at the old years and see if it does ebb and flow. But yeah, we always get a little bit more worried about folks, especially those who are experiencing homelessness. Sometimes we do get an influx of people just trying to find any resource they can as the cold weather approaches. But yeah, we're very high on the incoming contacts this year. It's higher than, I think is it more than double the end of last year already? So I don't know what to attribute to that, but it keeps increasing.
I'm curious to know how you track it. Do you have like a joint Excel spreadsheet? Is it on a flip chart? Like when someone records a contact, how is it done?
This is where we nerd out a little bit. So we have, so this spreadsheet that you get in here is an automated thing that we've built that it actually ties to the thing you don't get to see, which is everybody's name and the time and the date and what they talked about and what service was provided. So we have a shared spreadsheet that we have on our, what do we have? We have it on OneDrive now, because OneDrive works kind of like Google Drive where we can all work on it simultaneously. So now we've gotten to the point where Victoria, myself, and Lily can all enter data at the same time, which is increased efficiency. But we also do a lot of handwritten stuff just because sometimes that's the way we're interfacing with people in a one-on-one, and it's kind of awkward to sit there and type in your computer while you're talking to people. Go ahead.
I think contacts can be, we count like walk-ins, we'll count phone calls, we'll count phone messages, we'll count if we're in the world and somebody approaches us with something that they are like interfacing with our office about. So all of those count as contacts also. It's not necessarily like all of these people setting foot into our office. Goodness.
And they vary in length. Yeah, well, you got one too. Look at that. They vary in length, anything from like a quick message on the phone to like up to like 2 or 3 hours or more, depending on what's going on. So we haven't gotten to the minutia of tracking like the length of each contact or the average length of contact, but it's significant every day. So. But,
Thank you.
and it all goes in there, and each one has a note tied to it so that we can sort and filter for the individual and see every contact they've had with the office so that we know where we're at, and we do a case review every Tuesday so we know what's open, what we're forgetting about, what, things we need to pick up on, so,
Excellent, thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, that's good information. Any other questions about the staff report?
Thanks to both of you.
Yes.
A lot of work that is reflected there.
I just look for the day when those numbers are not that high
Yeah.
and people are taken care of. And, but until that day comes, we keep doing what we do. Or you guys keep doing what we do. And we support best we can. All right. We have a work session here. Ad hoc committee updates. Do we have any updates from the Community Engagement Committee?
I can share, we talked about revisiting in the new year the potential of having another town hall. And otherwise just kind of doing community engagement in support of any housing initiatives as are needed. And then continuing with this spreadsheet that Victoria has prepared for us. Although this is a lull time, so there wasn't any activities to engage with.
All right, let's take a couple of minutes. If we had another town hall, what would we do it around? would we do it around housing again, or would we do it around something else that's going on in the city? It seems like housing is really a big thing right now. It seems like it's, and it seems like we need to make sure we keep that in the forefront of everyone's mind, especially from listening to the webinar last night. So, I mean, any other ideas or anything that you guys think, just take a couple of minutes to talk about that?
Jeanette, was the committee thinking about doing it before we would have our retreat? Or after, or did you get that far?
We didn't discuss it in detail. I'm just checking the notes again to be
Yeah.
reminded, but, when is our retreat? It's been pushed back, right?
We don't have a date, do
We
we?
don't, yeah, we don't have a date yet. 'Cause-
But like usually it's in January, and this year we talked about having it later when the new folks came on, right?
I believe so, like March
Yeah.
is when they'll probably officially start, so yeah.
So we didn't talk about that shift. Just that it had been on the schedule from a while ago, and when we sketched out the goals for the year, you were probably
Yeah.
at that meeting. And we had said in the new year, we might do another one. So there aren't really any formal plans yet.
Okay.
And I think we can create that. We can wait until after the retreat so that it's more meaningful, given that there's nothing specific. But I think it can also, like, whatever project we decide to take on, if there's like a specific approach to the research that we're gonna do around the housing, I think that it should be in support of that.
To talk about other topics we might pursue, I think the last town hall came out of just a public poll that we did asking
Mhm.
what people want to see, and so
True.
we could do another one of those, either focusing on a lot of like housing-related topics, just trying to get into specificity of what people want. We could do another poll like that to help inform.
Just, go ahead, were you gonna say something, Andy? I was thinking about too, the other way you can approach the town hall is to have a panel of folks who are experts in the area that you've already talked about, that you want more information from, and then also see what questions the public may have from them to sort of inform your efforts. So there's another way to approach that, maybe less so like trying to hear what are the public concerns,
Mhm.
but sort of building on what you've already heard from the public,
Mhm.
so that they can see the progress of the work that you're doing.
I like that. Anybody else have ideas or anything? Okay. But I like that. I think, growing on what we did back last year, I think, was it March? We had the town hall? Or March or February? I don't remember.
I think it was March, as I
It was
recall.
March.
We had
Okay.
two kind of in a row. One was sort of a public discussion around quality of public and subsidized housing,
That
and
was
then we had
that was in
another one.
February.
Yeah,
That was late February, I
yeah,
think. Okay,
yeah. And then the following one in March, I think, was the actual town hall where we
awesome,
kind of solicited feedback from people about housing.
cool.
I had another thought too.
Go ahead.
Todd, about your suggestion that we bring in sort of panelists. I remember you had mentioned, reading back over the notes, you mentioned on, I think, the November subcommittee meetings, you would have recommended specific panelists. People provide, like, organizing wraparound services, but then also, like, bringing city folks also, and, like, that could be an interesting intersection to have, like, people who navigate through the city and people who navigate in the community, and, like, maybe we could help facilitate that intersection around housing.
Nice.
Could be good.
Yeah, and I think,
we actually had some do-outs from that subcommittee we probably should follow up on.
yeah,
Pursue it.
that might be a good subcommittee topic, just to
Yeah.
sort of hash that out. What is it that we're looking for? What are you
Yeah.
trying to learn? And then tailor your ask based on that, perhaps?
Yeah. I think it came up in the housing committee, but it's also like a community engagement thing, so maybe we should like combine forces to make that happen.
Wolfgang, you're on community engagement too, is that right? Or
I
no?
attended them, but I'm not officially on it.
Okay, but Andy, you are. Or-
On community engagement.
Right, that's what I thought.
Thank you guys for spending a few minutes talking about that, so we have some type of thoughts and roadmap to, when we get together fully, kind of make that push in early in the month, early in the year, so we can get it, because there was a lot of work that went in trying to organize the the survey and how to get that out, and I think the link didn't work, then we had to go back and do some other things, so, I think, having an idea, and then we can push it out and maybe get that quickly. I know, it would probably be a good time to probably have a retreat. If we probably can't, I would suggest, just a suggestion, that we try not to meet on the same night, that Thursday night, that city council's doing the budget, and maybe use that weekend, maybe to do the retreat instead. But that's just my kind of suggestion. I wouldn't want to meet the same night that they're meeting. We should probably be listening
Mhm.
to what's going on with the budget. If we have any suggestions or input to make sure.
Do you think there's an opportunity for us to like draft a statement saying that like we support housing as human right and we support funding of these kinds of efforts? Is there opportunity for us to use our position to advocate for those things prior to those budget meetings?
I don't see why not. Mary, didn't we try to do that before?
We definitely did. I mean, it was like focused on, for example, I think, gosh, I've lost track of time. Was it 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago.
That we were really pushing for the funding for attorneys in eviction
Yes.
cases.
Mhm,
Yes.
mhm.
And so we were advocating through the budget process for that. And they ended up allocating money, but in my view, not
No.
Not
nearly
enough.
enough.
That's right.
But
Yep.
they did
Yeah.
allocate some money,
Yes.
yeah. And we were pretty involved in that. I think there were multiple letters and, reports to council.
Do you think
Okay.
we have enough time to get something like that together for like this opportunity? We have to
I
figure out
think
what
so. I
we
mean,
want,
to-
exactly what we want to advocate for, but.
Yeah, I think that's the question.
Yeah.
If we have like a consensus about what we want to push for,
Mhm.
and, maybe now we could do it in a kind of general sense, which is like, we're particularly concerned about affordable housing and housing for, unhoused people and, I think there's time for us to put something together. I mean, Jessica's not here and normally that's something,
Yeah.
she would take the lead on, but, if if y'all are inclined to do that, that makes sense to me.
Just a couple of things to think about on that front too. Like, you could make a general recommendation now perhaps to prioritize anything that's already been proposed for
Mhm.
funding. But, if you really wanted to see the city and council consider something unique, the time to do that would be to probably get those recommendations to them like in August, because
Right.
October's really where budget stuff really kicks off. For like right
Yes.
now, departments are in the middle of doing their presentations and discussions with city management and finance to review their departmental budgets, and
Mhm.
they're kind of getting pretty far down the road. It doesn't it feels early, but it's not in some
Mhm.
ways. So
Okay.
you have this kind of annual kind of flow that we have to kind of match, but you could still say you support whatever things that are going to be funded in support of
Right.
emergency housing.
Yeah, I
and
knew
affordable.
that, but I know, I also remember listening, the little bit of council I heard on Monday night, a couple of Mondays ago,
Mhm.
when they last met, there was a big discussion on some development or something that's being built and they're going back and forth with design and trying to decide whether they're gonna do it or not, or what have you. So, and I don't know if that's around affordable housing or not. I know there's some housing going in a space, off of High Street that people are concerned about it being in a floodplain. I think we just need to find out what the affordable housing side is, or what they're planning on giving, or what's the plan that's out there as far as city giving money to any affordable housing plan. Find out what that is and make sure we try to support that as much as we can, that it gets backed, because it's such a need. And also, if the attorney eviction stuff is still on the docket, that we also make sure that they don't forget about that either. There's still a line item budget part of, line item, part of the budget, that we also make sure that gets, funded as much as they can fund it.
During the Livable Steeple event last night, I think it was Anthony Herr that talked about the city had allocated a flat sum of money, for, I think, emergency housing. I forget exactly what it was, the allocation was, but what was interesting to me was his recommendation that they base this, not a flat amount, but based on need, and that amount would be adjusted over time. And I don't know if we have an opportunity to advocate for financial levers like that might look at need rather than what the current, just a flat sum.
Yeah, I will need to hear more about,
Yeah,
and what does that mean about having a flat?
I followed up about it, but I haven't heard back from him,
Okay,
because it was
okay.
last night.
Okay, when you hear some more about that, I would love to know about that too as well, too. Because, you know, as times change, you know, we need, you know, you can't keep doing what you're doing at a certain level, because things are getting more and more expensive.
Yeah.
So,
So it seems like we could do like a specific laundry list of things, but also just a general affirmation of anything related to deeply affordable housing
Mhm.
and emergency housing access, since we're this far in the budget process.
right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys for entertaining that and spend some time talking about that. I appreciate that. Housing Committee, did you guys meet?
No.
No? Okay. Officer Nominating Committee, I think you guys met.
Yeah, well, is this the evening where we do the elections?
You don't do
January.
elections.
January.
You can
yeah.
present the slate of
I can
nominees.
present the
yeah.
slate of nominees. I was looking for the rules for it, but hadn't found it yet. So, the slate of nominees, as presented, are Jessica Harris for chair and Ernest Chambers for vice chair, that they continue their roles in this previous year. Jessica has accepted, even in absentia, and asked Ernest to consider the nomination.
Okay.
Are you considering, or have you?
Yes.
Okay.
Ryan's like,
Keep
what you
considering.
doing? All right, I'm in.
Okay, great. Should we ask if there are any nominees from the floor, or would that happen during?
That's
Yeah.
during the
January.
election.
That's the
yeah.
January,
election, all right,
okay.
so nominees can still be submitted from the floor. I'm biased, I think we've got two great candidates.
Okay.
And will the
Maybe I shouldn't
new
say that on the team
people
election.
be here for that election? No.
No, that's the funny timing of all the,
Right, yeah.
yeah,
okay.
I know.
All right, so
It would
the
be
slate-
nice if we did all these things kind of with the calendar year, but yeah.
All right, so the slate has been presented, and we will vote next meeting.
All right.
One other question. Did I understand you that there are 4 applicants for one slot?
So technically, I would say 3 applicants for one slot, because Jessica is one of the other applicants, because her term was up, and she had to submit a new application because it had been a while since she had applied, so there's 3 applicants for one slot.
So there's at least a theoretical possibility that
Mhm.
Jessica would not be on the commission?
I suppose there's a theoretical possibility that Jessica, you, and Wolfgang would not be reappointed by council, but I can't imagine why that would be the case.
I'm just wondering about the timing for the election. It's like weird to elect someone
It's a very
before
good,
the council's
Well,
like appointed them, right? Like,
well, so the appointment happens on Monday, so we will know.
Oh, okay,
We will
alright,
know
sorry.
on the 19th of December. Yeah, you,
no
first,
problem, okay.
I started to sweat there for a second. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't think about that, but
Yeah,
no,
I
yeah.
just thought it, like, what if we voted and then,
Yeah,
like, so,
council
yeah,
appoints.
okay.
Yeah.
I misunderstood, so that's all good.
What's unusual about it is those that are already on the commission obviously will continue, but the people who are appointed the person, I should say, that's appointed new on the 19th won't get to engage in the election because their term doesn't start until March, that's the one drawback to this whole thing, so. It'd be, I don't know, that's an interesting thing to kind of ponder, like how can we've done some realignment with the
Yeah.
staggering, and it's getting closer, but how do we tighten it up so that it aligns with nominations and voting and retreats and stuff, so.
Okay.
Work in progress, perhaps.
Thanks.
Thank you, Nominating Committee. All right. Matters of the public. Do we have anyone?
No.
Still no one wants to play with us
It's a dreary
tonight?
evening.
It's a
Stay
dreary
at home
evening in
and
Yeah,
watch
December.
it is.
Can't go
I
out.
heard you when you walked in and said, man, it'd be a nice time to be sitting at home on Zoom.
Yeah.
Yes,
Backward slippers.
yes.
Human Rights Commission.
So we don't have any body on with us tonight. Guess commissioner updates. You have any updates? Yes, sir?
I'm not a commissioner, but I have two things that I forgot to tell you before. Number one, if you saw the council meeting on November 21st, you'll know that the ordinance that we worked on passed. So that's good. So now we have an ordinance that has substantial equivalence to federal fair housing law. So now I have to figure out what we got to do next with HUD to get this process going, to enter into that work share agreement with
Awesome.
HUD. So that's exciting. Related to that, we still have to do the hiring for our intake person. And we kind of tossed the position description around with Ashley a bit, made some final adjustments. That's now in HR's hands. I passed it to them late last night, actually, I think, and I talked with our HR person today. We're going to make the final tweaks, and then I think the goal, I want HR's advice on this as to when to post it, because I want it to be seen and not overlooked like with holiday stuff. So probably in January, we'll advertise and do the hiring process then. So that would be exciting, and that will help with some of the volume that you see with incoming contacts and outgoing contacts. So just thought of those two updates.
Awesome. Thank you.
I have an event to share.
Yes.
From the Livable Seville event last night. The Haven is hosting their first ever open house on January 30th. It's a Monday evening at 6 o'clock. Go 6 o'clock until 7:30. There's online signups with an Eventbrite event that I can share. It's just an open house to learn what they're doing to support our neighbors who are homeless.
What's the time again?
It is 6 o'clock to 7:30 on Monday, January 30th of this next year.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right.
This is not directly related to the Human Rights Commission, but at our community engagement meeting, we talked a little bit about the Climate Action Plan, which was passed by council. So that is another kind of milestone for the city. We now have the Climate Action Plan. And the community groups that we're working with the city, the plan is very broad, and so it doesn't have like all the specifics that we were asking for in certain areas, but it just means the intention of the plan is to be broad. So the idea is that we'll have to stay engaged over the implementation process, similar to the comprehensive plan, around ensuring that equity remains front and center with that, so.
Awesome. Any other updates from any other counselors? All right, I want to do a council check-in. We haven't met, and there's a lot of things that have happened in our city with UVA and just in our community and what have you. And I just want to check in and make sure that you guys are okay. And we are coming up to the holiday season. For me, it's tough. I lost my dad, turned in my last teaching assignment. It was a event where we were after we had done our student teaching, and everybody had gotten together and stuff. And later on that night, my father had passed away, and I didn't know until the next morning. So anyway, so this time of year for me is tough, but it's still good. And, you know, with everything else going on, you know, with celebrities passing away, like the gentleman that committed suicide a couple of days, yesterday, I think it was, you know, and, you know, smiling, and you just never know. So, you know, just always know that there are people that love you and care for you, and that, and even you out there, Charlottesville, that may be seeing this on replay or anything else, There's ways or people that would like to take care of you and make sure you're okay, and what have you. So just know, reach out. Don't hide. No matter how hard it is, it's harder with you not being here than it is for us to battle through what you may be going through. So that's just, want to make sure, just checking in to everybody okay. I'll give you a few minutes if you want to say anything. And then after that, we'll talk about next steps and we can adjourn. So the floor is yours.
Thank you for sharing that, Ernest.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also,
And-
thank you for asking.
No, that's the thing, man. We walk by people and think everybody's okay because they have a smile on their face. And that's not always the case. Everybody's battling something going on. And, it's nice. Like when I send my text messages, at the end of my text messages, I put, I love Ernest. And I do that because someone, some years ago, said that's how they end their text messages, because some people may not have heard that all day. Or, it just, and I know if I text someone new, they're like, huh? I'm like, what is this? That was all, so sometimes I have to explain. I go on Facebook and say, look, if you see this, this is because, but, yeah. But, no, man, you are important. Everyone's important. We need you here. We want you here. We, want to see you, and you make a difference. So, all right.
I just want to thank you for making space for that. I think it's really hard to hold hope in the midst of so much that's going on. And so just creating space to be present to that means a lot. And you do that a lot on your social media presence too, like are constantly putting out the positive vibes that I appreciate from the shadows. But yeah, I think this work is really slow, and being on this commission, I think I'm not sure that our impact is as significant as I'm sure we each hope or want it to be. And so supporting you all as a staff and what you're doing with all of those contacts and the outreach is really important. And so any ways that we can do that more would be helpful. I mean, I would love to do that. I'm sure that we all would love to support you in more ways. So. Thank you for your leadership, Ernest.
I know, it's just kind of interesting because, it'd be interesting to kind of find a way to get down to the office sometime to kind of sit in and see I guess we can't sit in on meetings per se, but, the action that's going on, just to see how busy you guys really are or intense it can get at times because, like you said, in September, 500 and some odd contacts, that's a lot of contacts. So, yeah. So maybe that's something we can do as counselors, or as commissioners, as commissioners. Yes, Andy?
So I've been thinking this week about the anniversary of the Newtown massacre and how this year we've had these hoaxes and, school. So just thinking of the kids in the schools and the families that have to deal with our plague of gun violence.
Yeah, I wish there was something more we could do and put forward. I know there have been meetings, I attended a meeting at Charlottesville High School a couple of Fridays ago. We had about 40 black men at the school with Buck Squad and some other community leaders were there, city council, superintendent of schools, Tito Durrett was there, officer from the police department. So we had a lot of men that were there to talk about some of that that's going on right now. So there's a lot of concern. I just don't know what to change, what's going to make the change. for our youngins, teenagers. You know, I have some ideas, but I'm gonna leave that alone. We need a youth center, we need some place for them, we need a place for them to go. Okay, I'm done. Anything else, anyone else? All right. Next steps, if we're having any ad hoc committee meetings in January, and beyond, they need to be in person. So just remember that as we plan those meetings.
Can we
Do we have
Can we
meetings?
schedule
planned?
one?
Just-
I don't think we have.
Do we have
I
anything?
think the Community Engagement Committee decided to do as much work by email as possible
Okay.
and to
Okay.
not have a meeting in January. Is that right?
Yeah, I think you definitely talked about that for December.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
And it's helpful to know, we have this space reserved, except for the times when it overlaps with city council's budget stuff. We have this reserved every first Thursday of the month at 6:30, this space. And I recall we were talking a little bit about alternate times. I've asked about that a little bit. I haven't gotten a definitive answer as to whether or not we can do things before 5 PM, because that was kind of, we were like a tier 2 commission, which would, per the SOP that we're following. And so
Mhm.
they said that we're supposed to meet after 5, but I'm seeing if there's any flexibility in that. I'm using the kind of bumping into the budget meetings as a lever for that, to say like, if we could, then we might be able to move our thing earlier. But anyway, yes, so that's, it's good to know in advance, like, I think each meeting we hold, a regular meeting, like, confirm with me whether or not you want that first Thursday for committees, and then, because it's important for planning with Remy and everyone on that, so maybe we could say now, is January's first Thursday on for committee meetings or off, and which committees perhaps, of the two?
That's coming up quick.
It sure is, it's kind of, it always,
Because once everybody shuts down for the holidays, and then it's like that January, like, whoop, it's right here.
you're right.
I would say, what do you think, other folks that are on community engagement? I would vote no, that we communicate via email, given it's so close to the new year. And Lindell is the chair, and I think it's been difficult for her to figure out how to organize us. So maybe giving her some time to do that.
I think the only thing about that is that we lose that first Thursday in February
Oh, okay.
to budget. Is that correct?
Well,
We could
at
do it
present, but we
virtually.
could use one of our virtual meetings, one of our,
In February?
yeah, one of our 2 and/or 3. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Then
we,
if that's the case, then, if we don't meet that first Thursday in January, then we definitely need to make sure we meet that first Thursday in February.
do you want to just go ahead and, I'll push, I kind of highlighted that option as the virtual would be virtual. Do you want me to kind of push that forward? Is that kind of the will of the group, that for the 2 committee meetings, not the regular meeting, but the 2 committee meetings, push those to be virtual?
Yeah.
In February?
February and April 6th is the other one, and
Okay.
then March is the one where we may just make it our retreat.
Okay,
Is that kind of where we're at with it?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm actually sure the housing committee needs to meet in person to discuss anything yet. I don't think we have anything that couldn't be accomplished through written communication. And as long as we're able to facilitate regular email communications, I don't think we have to have an in-person meeting. That being said, since the housing committee meetings are sort of consolidating, I would like to recirculate through the group and see which people do want to rejoin the housing committee. I think I'm currently the chair of it by default because we have 3. So I'm happy to send that, push that out and see who wants to communicate. But if people who want to join are comfortable just doing it by email, we wouldn't need to meet.
Yeah, and we
What do
had
you
some
think, Mary?
conversation last time about how what we sort of need to do is
Mhm.
we have so many housing wishes and wants that we
Yeah.
sort of need to decide on
Streamline it.
a
yes.
priority, and that we
Yes,
assumed.
Yes,
So maybe what we need to do in advance of the retreat is to kind of identify the housing kind of things we might work on to present to the whole group, and we could do that by email.
We can work on that. I think the things that I'm thinking of is identify key priorities, support emergency housing funding to the city in a general way, work on building a wish list, and then the 4th thing I suppose is working with community engagement, if you'll let us, to help to try to figure out what a panel might look like in January or February.
Okay.
prior to our retreat.
Yeah.
So there's like the 4 due outs, and I don't think any of them can't be done by email.
Okay. Everyone good with that?
Yeah.
No?
All right.
Thanks for summarizing
I
that.
will push out 4 things,
You push out 4 things?
Yeah.
Okay.
and I hope to see you on the housing committee. There's just 2 of us. So
It's fun, we're
so-
fun.
We're fun.
Yeah, it's the fun committee.
It's the fun one, so join.
Awesome.
We're not fun, we're very serious.
Okay, let me write the books.
Awesome, thank you, Wolfgang. Don't forget about the open house at the Haven on January the 30th, 6 o'clock to 7. We should have another meeting before then, as far as Human Rights Commission, but just wanted to keep that on your calendar. I think that's it. It's just, nice to get a win with having a ordinance finally approved. So, awesome. Way to go, Mary. And I think that's it. Anything else I missed? All right. The time is 7:29 on December the 15th, Thursday. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.